Everything on this shelf has a free or nearly free replacement. And most of the hacks people share for this hobby are just convenience tricks. These 9 aren't. Every one of them either saves you real money, fixes a real biological problem, or does both at the same time. Most aquarium hacks videos give you convenience tips. Corral your floating plants with an embroidery hoop. Use a turkey baster to spot clean. Genuinely useful, and I'll give you a few of those too. But the hacks that actually change your hobby, the ones that save you real money every month or fix a problem the industry profits from you never solving, those require understanding why they work, not just that they work. I'm going through 9 hacks today. Some are quick convenience wins. Some replace products that cost you money every single month. And I'm saving the single most powerful hack in this entire list for the end, because it's the one that multiple experienced hobbyists independently land on as their best trick, and almost nobody explains the biology behind why it works so well. Subscribe right now if you want hacks backed by actual science, not just try this. Let's go. One framework before we start. A hack is only as good as the problem it solves. So for each one of these, I'm going to tell you the actual mechanism, the biology or chemistry underneath. So you're not just copying a trick, you're understanding why it works, which means you can apply the same logic anywhere else it's needed. Floating plants like frogbit or salvinia drift wherever the current pushes them, usually straight into your filter intake or piled in one corner. A plain plastic embroidery hoop, under $2 at any craft store, floats on the surface and physically corrals them into one contained area. Your fish get consistent shade. Your plants stay concentrated where the light actually reaches them instead of scattered thin across the whole surface. Cost? Under $2. Time? 30 seconds to set up. Filter floss does one job: mechanical filtration, physically straining particles out of the water column. The material doing that job doesn't know or care what brand is on the packaging. Plain 100% polyester Fiberfill. No scent, no fire retardant, no fabric softener. Performs identically to branded filter floss at roughly 1/10 the cost per bag. One bag from any craft store restuffs your filter dozens of times over. The one rule: completely plain. No added scent, no softener treatment. Check the bag for 100% polyester and nothing else. Blended frozen food, bloodworms, brine shrimp, mixed with a bit of tank water and frozen in a standard ice cube tray gives you pre-portioned single feedings. No wrestling with a frozen block. No wasted defrosted food going bad in the fridge. Cost? The tray you already own. Time saved. Real. Every single feeding. Here's the hack that actually changes your monthly costs, not just your convenience. Standard filter cartridges are proprietary and disposable. Replace them every 2 to 4 weeks, the box says. A 3-pack runs $7 to $14. Follow those instructions for a year and you're spending $80 to $150 per tank, every single year, forever. Here's the fix. Remove the cartridge entirely. Replace it with a cut-to-fit block of aquarium foam or a mesh bag of ceramic bio rings. Both cost a few dollars, both last indefinitely, and both provide the same biological surface area your cartridge was providing, minus the monthly repurchase. The biology: beneficial bacteria live on surfaces, not in the cartridge material specifically. Any porous media works. Rinse it in old tank water during maintenance. Never tap water, never replace it, and it functions as a permanent biological filter for the life of your tank. Savings: $80 to $150 per year per tank. One-time cost: under $10. If If your tap water has low KH, low buffering capacity, your pH can drift and crash without warning, especially between water changes. 2 to 4 tablespoons of crushed coral in a mesh bag inside your filter dissolves slowly as the water acidifies and releases carbonate ions that buffer pH back upward, automatically with zero dosing schedule. The genuinely underrated version of this hack, crushed oyster shell sold at farm supply stores as a calcium supplement for laying hens, is chemically identical to branded aquarium crushed coral at a fraction of the price per pound. Lasts 3 to 6 months before needing replacement. 5 hacks down, 4 to go, including the one nobody else explains correctly. Subscribe right now if you haven't. The next video is the complete water testing guide, and it connects directly to the pH hack we just covered. The first 5 hacks were about convenience and cost. The next 3 are about biology most beginners have never had explained clearly, and the last one is the single most powerful hack in this entire list. Multiple experienced hobbyists, independently across different channels, land on the exact same final trick as their best one. Almost none of them explain why it's so effective. I'm going to. A pothos cutting, the same plant sitting on a windowsill in most houses, mounted with only its roots submerged, pulls nitrate directly from your water as fertilizer. The biology is genuinely interesting here. Land plants have unlimited access to atmospheric CO2 through their leaves, which lets them photosynthesize and consume nutrients at a rate submerged aquatic plants simply cannot match. A single established pothos measurably slows nitrate accumulation between water changes. Cost: $0 if you already own one, a few dollars for a cutting if you don't. Ick is the most common disease in the hobby, and it can be treated with heat alone. No copper medication, no risk to shrimp or snails, no disruption to your biological filter. Raise the temperature slowly to around 86 degrees Fahrenheit over 24 hours and hold it for 2 full weeks. The heat accelerates the parasite's life cycle faster than it can reproduce, collapsing the infection. The critical companion step: warm water holds less dissolved oxygen, and fish already stressed by parasites need extra surface agitation during treatment. An air stone or increased flow isn't optional here, it's part of the hack. This does not work on fungal infections, rapid fin rot, or dropsy. Those need a hospital tank and targeted medication. Know which situation you're in before you rely on heat alone. Blackbeard algae resists almost every chemical treatment on the market at safe doses. Standard 3% hydrogen peroxide from any pharmacy treats it directly, in minutes, for about $2. Turn off the filter. Draw 1 to 2 milliliters into a syringe. Apply directly to the algae, letting it sit on the surface for 10 to 15 minutes rather than dispersing into the water. The algae begins visibly dying within 24 to 48 hours, turning from black to pale gray. Hydrogen peroxide breaks down into water and oxygen within 24 hours of contact, leaving no residue. Turn the filter back on after treatment. Cost: under $2 for enough to treat multiple outbreaks. Here it is, the hack that keeps showing up as the final, best trick across independent creators, and the one almost nobody explains correctly. What most people get wrong: taking water from an established tank to seed a new one. This does almost nothing. Beneficial nitrifying bacteria don't live suspended in water, they live on surfaces. Pouring old tank water into a new tank is like scooping a cup from a swimming pool and expecting it to carry the pool's entire filtration system with it. What actually works? Moving physical filter media. A sponge, ceramic rings, even a handful of established substrate directly from a running tank into a new one. That media is colonized with billions of active nitrifying bacteria that immediately begin processing ammonia in the new tank. Instead of the standard 4 to 8 week fishless cycle, a tank seeded this way can complete cycling in 5 to 10 days. If you have multiple tanks, keep a second sponge filter permanently running in one of your existing tanks specifically for this purpose. Anytime you set up something new, a quarantine tank, a fry rearing tank, an entirely new display, that spare filter is ready to transfer instantly. If you only have one tank, ask your local fish store for a small piece of established media from one of their display tanks, or ask a fellow hobbyist. Most will happily give you a handful for free. This single hack is worth more than every bottled instant cycling product on the market combined, and it costs nothing. Embroidery Hoop Plant Corral, under $2. Polyester Fiberfill Filter Floss, 10 times cheaper than branded. Ice Cube Frozen Food Portions, free with equipment you own. Permanent filter media instead of cartridges, saves $80 to $150 per year. Crushed Coral pH Buffer, 3 to 6 months of stability for a few dollars. Pothos Nitrate Filter, free. Heat treatment for ick, no medication needed. Hydrogen peroxide for Blackbeard Algae, under $2. Seeded filter media, the fastest, cheapest way to cycle any new tank. Notice what almost all of these have in common. They're not clever tricks for their own sake. Every one of them replaces something the industry sells you monthly with something that costs a few dollars once or nothing at all, because the underlying biology or chemistry doesn't actually require the branded version. Filter cartridges, bottled cycling bacteria, expensive algae treatments, pH stabilizers you dose weekly. None of them are doing anything a $2 version, understood correctly, can't do just as well. The hacks were never secret. They just don't have a marketing budget behind them. Pick 2 or 3 of these to try this week. The permanent filter media swap and the seeded tank hack are the 2 with the biggest long-term payoff if you're only starting with a couple. Subscribe right now if you haven't. The water testing guide drops next, and it directly extends the pH and cycling hacks from this video. And drop a comment below. Which of these 9 did you already know, and which one is new to you? I want to see which hacks are actually underground versus which ones I'm the first to explain to most of you.